Hi friends, welcome to TakeThree Talks. I'm Asefi and I'm going to be your host. Today we have a special edition of the podcast where I'm sitting with my co-host, Meijun.
Hello, I'm so excited.
We're recording a live Q&A with people on Instagram. So you guys are going to be hearing us going live and talking to our people. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, make sure you do. And if you do, make sure that you tune in because I think I'm more into like live, season of my life. I feel like I'm going to be into this live thing going on. So yeah, how are you feeling? We're going to start in 1 minute.
1 minute, yeah. I'm feeling super excited, to be honest. I think we've had such a high, especially these past few weeks.
Yeah.
And just really excited to share everything and talk and answer questions.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
Let's get
How many questions do we have?
We have 11.
Okay.
11 questions.
Okay, so let's do it. We're going to go live now.
Perfect.
Okay? Let's go. Okay, so how do I go live?
Add.
Oh, I guess it's just the thing.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. It has a schedule.
Perfect. Start.
Hello, everybody.
Oh my God, we are live on Instagram.
Welcome to TakeThree Talks live on Instagram, and also recording for the podcast for all of the people who are not here to see us, watch us, and sit with us for a little bit. I'm so glad that you're able to sit with us from wherever you are in the world. And yeah, we're excited to be here to answer 11 questions, to say que viva TakeThree. Happy birthday, TakeThree.
Can you believe it? It's been 3 years.
I can't believe it.
3 años, everyone.
Yeah, and Meijun has his phone there too.
Yeah.
So that we can ask the questions that you guys already asked in our question box.
And then I can pull it up and put it on the screen for you guys.
Yeah,
too.
that way it's really nice and easy to follow, and if you come in randomly, you're able to see the question. So yeah, without further ado, welcome to TakeThree Turns 3.
Welcome.
And what is our first question?
Okay, let's do it.
Our first question says, what do you like the most about your lifestyle? You go first. Since I asked the question, you answer.
Okay.
And then the next question you ask, and I answer.
Okay, perfect. I think that what I like most about our lifestyle is the ability to manage our own time and balance that with balance work with personal, and more importantly, do work that's for ourselves versus work that's for another company, for example. That's kind of what we were doing in New York. We were working for another company, working on clients that aren't necessarily ours, and just working on clients that were given to us, versus now we get to choose the time we want to work on something, the clients we want to work with, what we want to charge, and just be our own bosses. I think that's what I like most about our lifestyle.
Wow, that's a nice answer. You should get closer so that people can see you more on the...
Okay, I'll get closer.
Move your chair un poquito closer.
Okay.
So that people who are seeing us on video can get premium experience. But I think my answer for what do I like the most about this lifestyle would be the growth. Just the overall... And I was talking with my therapist about this last week, actually. That's funny.
Yeah.
But it's the growth. And how much we're able to just explore different areas that if we were just solely, for example, like digital designers or art directors at a creative agency, we would, I think, be training just one specific muscle, when now we get to train like various muscles, like finance, project management, SEO, design, development, QA, just, illustration, sketching, problem solving, mentorship, being mentors. I don't know. I think that there's just so much freedom in the growth. that this lifestyle gives us.
I think that's a great
And
answer.
being able to go to therapy. Also, like,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's one of my favorite things
Mhm.
of this lifestyle. Being
Mhm.
able to manage my mental health and my work health and my
Yeah.
love health.
I love that. I think that's a great answer.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next. It's this one.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you, oh, you read it.
Okay. How do you manage to make life feel exciting and as amazing as it felt in NYC?
Hmm.
Mm.
So I don't think that there's a way to make it like as it was in New York City, because I think it's completely different, and it's a completely different like life.
Yeah.
So I would say that in order to feel that fulfillment or that happiness or that giggly or maybe that like little butterfly feel that you feel like, you know, I don't know, maybe when you realize you like look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I live in New York City and I work here, and like, what is my life? Like, I think those moments, to replicate them here, is what I was saying. Like, you know, today launching the website for Moon Lab and like seeing how much growth there's been and how much life has happened in this like short 6 months, like, or 7 months of us working on this project. Like, there's been so much personal growth, work growth. Like, I've learned so much about coding, about like design, about like just so much. So I think what makes this life as exciting as my life in New York is like that I am able to create that instead of rely on an environment to give me that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
I
makes
don't
sense.
know. Sounds
Yeah.
like a poetic answer.
It's a little poetic, but you know, that's nothing new from the Steffi. Poetic answers. I think for me, you know, honestly, it was really tough during the pandemic, obviously, because we had so many more things planned for our lives, travels and different experiences in different cities and even countries. But that kind of got, you know, changed. But what we do little things to make life feel like New York. For example, by going to the park.
Yeah.
We always go to the park with Guillermo off leash, and that brings us back to when we go to Central Park or Prospect Park in Brooklyn, in New York, to just walk in the in the vast open nature and just have that experience, because I think that just brings me back to New York. And also going to specific restaurants and even like diners, for example, like going to like eat diner food brings me back to New York. And
where do you eat diner food? Oh, like Maria La Panaderia.
Yeah, like very homey, like homey meals.
Yeah.
You know?
Or even huecas, I think, give us that experience, like in their own Ecuadorian culture
True,
of it. But I think like you can find like the specialty thing, you know, because in New York we used to go like, remember when we went on like the dumpling tour in Queens? Like we used to do like themed activities like that were like very local, not necessarily like touristy. And I think that's something we try to do here.
Absolutely.
To make life exciting.
Yeah, we try to bring some of those experiences that we've had before here.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And also we try to meet people. Like we try, like, I feel like we're not the type of people that meet 100 people.
Yeah.
But when we find someone that we would really like to connect with offline, we try that. And even though we've been so busy, we like try to make an effort to do so.
True.
Even though we've been really nervous, especially like about COVID and the pandemic and all of that. I think we've slowly kind of gone into. And I think another answer to this question would be, I think going to classes like ceramics or working with people like Paula Munchmeyer, like
English,
for training,
like bilingual people.
Yeah, like going to ceramics classes, or for you finding your table tennis classes, or just like I think those things that are like your personal individual hobbies or personal individual things make it feel like New York, because it's not like the two of us.
Absolutely. Oh,
yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good one.
Amazing. Okay. This
one. No, I think you chose response couldn't be shared. I think we can just go off the list. How?
Okay.
Because it's getting a little bit hard.
Okay, let's just go off the list.
Maybe X the question.
Okay.
And then let's just go off the list because it's not like in order, so it's getting hard to keep track of.
Yeah, perfect.
So the next question is, how was it becoming each other's boss? Like, what does that mean? I asked that question because I was really curious.
I think that's a really, really good question. How was it becoming each other's boss? I think that it was a very new experience for us because it added another layer to our relationship. It added another relationship to our just us being together. You know, we had 11 years as friends, and then we had 7 years being, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, and then we had 4 years being dog parents, and then now bringing in work, it's a whole new relationship. And I think that was very new to get used to. So it was very young when we just started, so it was hard to get used to, like, who takes lead on this, who is in charge of this, how much do I trust Estefi, or how much does Estefi trust me to take care of this? We've never worked together before, you know, so it's really it was really new. Entonces, I said entonces. So
Spanglish is perfect.
Spanglish is perfect. So I think that what it meant for us was for us to get used to and learn this new relationship with each other.
Yeah.
You know, so there were a lot of bumps along the road. We're still learning. You know, we never stop learning. But for us, it was just another new relationship for us to grow together and learn about each other more.
Yeah, 100%. I think becoming each other's boss has been one of the most fun relationships I think we've developed in a way, because it's been so purposeful. As in, like, when we were having like really hard time adapting to this new relationship when we first started, we were constantly pushing ourselves to listen to podcasts or to sit down and chat about it, or to seek help with therapy and know that, you know, we weren't doing great. And know that maybe we needed really an extra hand in order to balance. So I think the best part, or like what it's meant to being like each other's boss, has really been, I think, how purposeful this whole relationship and partnership has been. Knowing our boundaries, knowing or training our trust, learning to be more compassionate, learning to be more kind, letting go, not micromanaging. Also like setting expectations, and also like being vocal about the things that you can and cannot complete, or can and cannot just can and cannot deliver. Right? So I think just being really vocal
that was a
has
big one.
been like, I think, one of the biggest things about becoming each other's boss. And I think something that works really well for us is the fact that we're really different type of creatives,
of human beings.
Like, of course we're different types of human beings, but I just like, we're very different type of actual creatives. Like,
absolutely,
the way we think, the way we execute, the way we like organize. And that's why we've been able to really divide and conquer
100%
successfully.
100%.
And also like ask for feedback without taking it personally has been a huge thing that we've had to learn.
Leaning in and leaning on to each other's strengths. And that was really important. And
trusting those strengths. And being like, if you're going to do this, then, you know, you're going to do this and you're going to deliver.
Absolutely. So how about we answer this question before it gets like hidden? So I'll read it. ¿Cómo hacen para no discutir por dinero? Yo trabajo con mi esposo y siempre es un tema. Fire. Caliente.
Okay, translate that un poquito.
So
for people who are listening in English,
I believe it's how do you work with your partner when it comes down to money? Like, how do you guys have that discussion together when you work together as a couple? I think
I can answer because you asked.
Yeah, okay. Tú primero.
I love these rules. I think that how we do it, number one, is that we have this. I remember us having this conversation even when we first started dating about money is money. It's not emotional. It's not going to get in between us. It's our train, our gasoline to get somewhere together or for our own individual goals. So it's like, it's our gasoline. It shouldn't be like our vehicle, and it also shouldn't be like the rock in the road, you know, like we don't have to find issues. And if you feel like you have a specific something you want to buy or a specific thing you want to spend on or invest on, then I think that way you feel like there is like trust and safety in opening up about that, because sometimes if you don't feel like there is a safety in terms of the emotional connection to the money, then I think you can get into, like you don't let me spend on this, or you don't see the investment, and you kind of take it personally. So I think the biggest thing that we've had to do, and we always did, especially when we started, was just be very clear that for us, like money and finances are not about each other's worth or thing. But I think number one is having, like, we have a budget and we're very clear with it. But I'll let Majun from finance now.
Majun from finance. I think 100%. What Steffi said about not making money emotional and just make it part of like the business and like objectives and, you know, just the business side of things. There's no, like, you know, as you said, there's nothing about your character, about how much you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. It's just money. It's money. And then in terms of something else, what we do is we have like monthly meetings, like about, okay, how are we doing this month? What type of projects we think we can take on for the next month to make this amount of money? What does our budget look like? What are our spendings look like? Just have those meetings as putting on the business hat and not the relationship hat, and just talking about like just the business, because at the end of the day, the business is like a baby that you need to take care of. You need to feed the baby, you need to feed the business with money so that it can survive.
Or with rest.
Or with rest too, but just speak specifically about the money so that you can actually, like, you know, keep the business going. Just from the money and financial side of things, I think it's important to be very clear and have a good understanding of what your budget is, from the expenses to the income to what each month looks like, so that you know that you're either making a profit or you're making a loss. And you need to, you know, talk to your partner about, okay, this month we did really well with the projects and we spent not a lot on food. So we're doing really well,
which is our biggest expense.
Yeah. So we're doing really great this month. You know, have those conversations like normal, like just normally, and not making it about, like we didn't do enough, like you didn't take on this project, you didn't work on this fast enough. Just, it's not about that. It's just about, like, you know, the reality of the numbers.
And also I think that, you know, it would be a dream for us to sit every month, but that's not the truth. Yeah. You sit with yourself every month. But then we sit together every 3 or 4 or 6 months to really do those, like, okay, check-ins, how much are we doing, like what are we doing, etc. Because it's also hard, like we're only 2 people, so we have to trust. So I would say trust is a really big one for money not to be like a problem in the partnership. And I think the last one that I would say of like how do you do it is like have a separate bank account. Like don't mix like personal and like work and like all of those things. And if you are going to, like, you know, some home expenses come out of the business or whatever, like talk about, like, for example, when your partner is like, oh, I think that's a really big expense, like, are you crazy? Then you come and you tell him like, okay, like this is the case of why I think this would be a really good investment. This is how much I think of an ROI or return on investment I think this project or this investment would have. You know, sorry for the redundancy of investment so many times, but just to like almost proof, like, or pitch the idea to your partner, whether that's a business partner or a loving partner, like in a relationship partnership. I think it's important to, like, if you know that your SO is skeptical, then go in prepared with like your tools.
Perfect.
Okay.
Next.
Do you have anything else there?
No, hope that answers your question. Mama gallina.
You know, she's from Well-Fed.
Ay, qué lindo.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you manage to make, okay, yeah, we responded to that one. How different do you think it would have been starting your business in New York City versus Ecuador?
Super different. I think that if we started in New York, it would have been so much harder because of, one, the competition, and two, how expensive New York is to manage. Just to start a business in New York is really hard because your expenses are so much higher, from rent to just other bills. It's a lot harder to maintain and manage. I think in Ecuador, things are just a little bit cheaper so that you can have less of that expenses from the start, so that when you do get your projects coming in, you...
Like cost of living, you mean?
Yeah, the cost of living is so much higher in New York that it's just so much harder to start there. And in Ecuador, things are just a little bit cheaper, so it's easier to manage. I think that's kind of my main answer for that, from the money side. And then from the client side and projects, I think starting a business here, I think maybe it was, I don't know, to be honest, maybe a little bit harder to get more clients because we don't live there. Because if we lived there, we would be able to physically network more and talk about our business more physically. So maybe we'll get more even bigger clients. But here in Ecuador, we were lucky enough to get clients because of our connections in New York. But I don't know if that even answers the question.
It's okay.
But I'll let you go.
I think that my first answer would have been like, it's impossible. And I would have been under the table. Like, no visa would cover this.
That's true. We
So,
can. That's true.
Like, I was going to start with that. Like, you know, unrealistic.
I was thinking of it as if it's feasible.
I know. I was like, yeah, no, we couldn't do this. But, you make a beautiful couple and I love your account. Oh, thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I think that it would have been impossible because we would have killed each other and we would have broken up. Like, we were like so close to killing each other. Like, you were watching 300 sleeping in the sleeping on the floor in the living room. And we went to our like Tusamia Lodge, our like the house in the mountains that we rent for a whole week, and we were sleeping on the floor trying to like figure out our life. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Starting a business was hard. Like, it was a lot of work, from like the website, like to networking to like
just everything.
Just hustling. Everything about it was, it's not easy. Even social media, I think we would have been like so much more like imposter syndrome, so much more like we're not like that different. Like here we do stand out in a way. So I think it's a little bit easier to find that boost.
Right. That's true. I think, and to add to that, I think her answer is more accurate than mine. Because, and mine kind of adds to yours because of how expensive things are. We would not have been able to afford a lot of things like for therapy. Sure, you know, without therapy and couples therapy, we would not have TakeThree would not have made it to 3 years.
Okay, but I would have been paying less therapy than I pay now
because of insurance.
But it's okay.
But you know what I mean.
That's a topic for another day. Yeah, I think we both agree it would have been like really difficult. Harder.
Yeah.
Okay, next is, what motivated you to move to Ecuador? Oh no, you should. You ask.
Okay, what motivated you to move to Ecuador?
Guillermo.
Guillermo.
He was the only reason why I really chose this country. Now I'm really happy I chose
Guillermo is our dog.
Yeah, Guillermo
and chief marketing officer.
Clearly, if you don't know him, then what are you doing? Yeah, you should show him your case. United Pep US.
That's Guillermo.
United Pup US. Hashtag gifted when we were influencers. But okay, listen, Guillermo motivated us. I think that because we couldn't take him to Hong Kong for sure because of the quarantine. Like, we were like, oh my gosh, like he can't really go to the Caribbean either. I'm like, what are we gonna do traveling with a dog, trying to figure out like the dog, the humans, the job, like the money, the currency. Like, we were like, okay, this is too much. So because my family's here, I grew up here. We thought it was a easier of a transition and of like a starting pad, let's say. So that's why we chose Ecuador. Is there another reason you can think of why we chose Ecuador?
No, I agree with you. I think it was just the most realistic and the most feasible country to go to because of all the reasons that you mentioned. Because it's the same US dollar currency here in Ecuador. There's no quarantine for Guillermo to be trapped in the airport for 45 days like they would have done in Hong Kong, for example. I have family in Hong Kong, so that was an option. And your family was here as well, so that we had people to lean on in case of emergencies. Like in case for some reason we just were struggling and things were just not working out, we had family to lean on. So
because we were quitting our visas, like we weren't doing some like childhood shit, like we were like quitting the visas we worked so hard to like magically win the lottery for. So I think that was really important. I think one thing that makes us successful is that we're also realists. So that's why we chose Ecuador.
We're dreamers, but we're realists.
Okay. But we'll for sure live in Hong Kong.
We're gonna go to Hong Kong.
We're gonna live half of the year in Asia. Don't you worry.
We'll hit you up.
Coming soon. # just kidding.
And
coming not so soon.
What was the breaking point to decide to move to Ecuador? I think we just end the breaking point.
No.
Okay. I know this. The question is darker. Okay.
What was the breaking point? I basically had a mental breakdown.
Depression.
I was really depressed. I was really anxious. I was in between deciding of like, am I going to continue living in this life? Am I going to like almost like, so I think this is a whole episode on its own, but I went to Beijing and for work, and it was like all expenses paid, and it was amazing. And I guess this is in a podcast as well. And I saw how vast and beautiful and crazy the world can be. And I know no Chinese, and I went alone, and I was sick as fuck. And it was very dramatic and a memorable experience. And I made friends, and it was just so nice. And I realized how young I was, and I was like, what am I doing? Like my family and my life, like my ancestors didn't like do and gave up what they gave up, and my parents didn't go through what they went through to put me here in order to like just be a digital designer. It's like selling cars to white people for the rest of my life. So that's kind of the breaking point in not its dark section. But
you just
it
had
was
a
just
realization.
and I was listening to a lot of Second Life, the podcast, and a lot of women taking a chance on their ideas, on their dreams. And I thought, we were running Guillermo's Instagram account, and things were going well, and we were like, if we can do this for a dog, we can do this for ourselves. And I was really depressed, and I crying my life out. I pitched it to my agent, and I was like, I think I need to leave New York. I can't renew my visa. And he said, I'm not ready. Just like when I told him, hey, I think I fell in love with you. And he said, I don't know. I have to think about it. So
savage.
That's how it worked. And then we went to Seattle, and the rest is history. We had a lot of conversations. But I think you also had a breaking point in a way, not as dramatic of sorts, but like, what was it like when, like, I know that in Seattle we had so many conversations. And I remember that one day that we went trekking through that park, and we ended up at the water tower thing. That was the day that, like, that was the place where you really talked to me, and you were like, you know what? Okay, I think you've made your case. You've pledged your case. We've talked about this enough. Okay, like, you know what? Let's give this a try. But do you think, or can you put yourself in the Medellin from 3 years ago and try and envision, like, maybe a little bit more than 3 years ago, and envision what was in February 2018? And if you can't, then that's fine. But
I can't remember specifically, but I just know that at first when you told me that, hey, I need to leave New York, I'm not going to renew my visa, and you can decide to come with me or not, because obviously you were not going to force me to go.
Or was I?
Or were you? Yeah, I know. It's me. Or
I was going to put you in my suitcase and kidnap you forever.
And I think that for me, I just had a lot to think about, and it takes me time to process everything that is put onto my plate. So when you told me, and when I saw how severe everything was, and severe, yeah, it was like now or never kind of thing. I was just looking at the big picture of like, okay, what am I doing here? Am I happy or am I comfortable? And I was just starting to ask myself that every single day. Am I comfortable or am I happy at my work? I think the answer was that I was comfortable. I wasn't necessarily happy. I wasn't like excited about the work I was doing. I wasn't really growing. So I just decided, after a long time of, thinking, and then us going to the trip in Seattle, after you had told me, I think it worked out really well, because we were able to just be in nature and be in a different state and think about the next part of our next chapter of our lives, whether I was going to be in New York or not. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just scared, because I'm always scared of the unknown. And I'm also scared of the known of what I am doing in New York, and it's not good so far. So why not take a chance? So that's kind of what I decided was,
like, it wasn't looking good.
It wasn't looking
in terms of the same job.
It wasn't looking good at all. So I was like, you know what? I love Estefi. I love Guillermo. I love our life. I think we have so much potential, especially as a duo. And let's just, take a leap of faith. And that's kind of what we did.
Yeah. And the reason why it was like so rushed that we had to do it, I'm the same as Major, was because we had to renew our lease.
And our visa.
And I know, but our visa paperwork had to start in April.
Yeah.
This was February. But our lease renewed in February. So we kind of like had to decide where we wanted to live, like what was going on.
See.
So that was the breaking point.
Perfect. Next question. What have you learned from Ecuador? Okay, you were supposed to ask, but I can answer that. Okay. So what I learned from Ecuador, español. Español. Sí. Y papa con cuero, y guatita, y seco de chivo, seco de pollo.
Que no te gusta la granadilla.
Sí. Pero what I learned the most from Ecuador is actually, besides the food, is just to slow down. I think that our lives in New York for 10 years have just been run. You need to make it past the next person. You need to do more than you are expected to do to survive in this country, in this city. So you always have to be running, always have to be working hard. Didn't have time for breaks. We lived in New York for 9-10 years, and I personally didn't get to experience as much as I wanted, because I kept running and just doing work versus trying to live. So here I learned to live each day more, and learned to slow down, and learn to just take my time with things, and understand that things will happen when they happen. So that's my answer.
Wow, this is a loaded question for me, man. This is also a dark one. What have you learned from Ecuador?
Nada.
No.
Just kidding.
I've learned so much about resilience. I've learned that you can reinvent yourself a million times. I've learned that you need to have ñeque. You need to sacarle el jugo. That there's some corrupt ass people in this country. That paperwork is a little bit of a nightmare. And I've learned to be able to look at pictures of my 6 or 7 year old self, and that's a really big one. I've learned to reconnect with my family and accept my family and accept myself. I learned to not schedule my life from like 6 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Exactly.
like you said. I learned that I can eat bread deliciously, masa madre. And I learned that I want to support Ecuadorian small businesses till the day I die. And that I want to like help directly impact and help the society as much as I possibly can with the skill sets that I have. I think that's what I've learned from Ecuador.
I love that.
And that there's some beautiful people, just corrupt ass government.
That's a good answer.
And delicious food. So next question. Okay. ¿Cómo
Okay.
consiguen clientes en Estados Unidos? How do we find clients from the United States? And I think I would just like to expand this from like the world, like because we've gotten clients from the States, Amsterdam. We have students in the mentorship program from that are in Thailand. They're Ecuadorian in Thailand. They're American. They're in Australia. Just like I think our biggest, like our thing has always been like global people. So how do you get global clients or clients from around the world?
I think for us, it's a little different because we had past and experience and background being in New York, so we were able to make a lot of connections and network, and we knew a lot of people because we worked hard and we were in the industry, etc. So we were able to have a nice creative network that we could tap into, and people were keeping in touch with us. So we were able to find projects, and clients came to us actually from word of mouth, from just seeing us and our digital presence. I think that, so the first one is we were able to get clients because of our networking and our connections. And the second one is that we put a lot of effort into having authentic communication on via our website and also on Instagram. So we were able to just share as much of our work and as much of our personality as possible and tell our story, and it kind of connected with people, and people were just reaching out. And when you put stuff out there that you are passionate about and that you are skilled in, that you're really good at, that you love, that will attract the right people to at least say hello to you and start that conversation to maybe work on a project. So yeah, that's
your
my
answer is like hashtag manifested. Okay, no. Let me translate what Meijun said into some actionable things, because I agree with what Meijun said, but let me translate into like actionable like things. So one, we always knew we wanted international clients. We knew we couldn't rely off of Ecuadorian client payments because Ecuadorian clients are cheap as fuck and they ain't trained. So we knew we wanted international clients. Number two, we positioned ourselves by having a bilingual website. We always spoke in English first, and then we spoke in secondary, like Spanish. 3, we created a roster. So when we were interviewing and applying for jobs, even before we got the H-1B, like, again, if you haven't listened to our podcast, this is going to sound like new, but if you have, this is going to sound repetitive. When we like do something, we do it like 100%. And like, not to the point that we kill ourselves. Before we used to do that, but now we protect ourselves first. But we like go hardcore and we like put everything that we want, so that we can into it. So we used to like send resumes to like 100 people per day, and like we have a whole list, an Excel sheet of like all the agencies and all the people, and go on LinkedIn and all that stuff. And we did the same thing when we started TakeThree Studio. We were like, okay, all of the contacts we have, we were Googling people, like agencies here, agencies in Ecuador, agencies in the States, in studios in like all over the world. I went on AWWW.ARD, so awards.com. And I put like studios, and we saw what studios existed out in the world and what kind of clients they worked with. And we were like, you know, kind of tapping and doing a little bit of a competitive analysis of sorts of how we wanted to be positioned. And we launched our website with that positioning. So making sure that we had a home base where people could go and see that we were legit, see that we had a joint portfolio, give the proper credit where credit was due. And we also reached out to our past connections. So for example, like one of our second clients was Meijun's table tennis. He was like the director of the table tennis association in Jamaica. The other one was one of my first therapists who was like had founded her own business. Our other one was Guillermo's nanny,
dog sitter,
his dog sitter and dog walker. So we really reached back into our personal roster of people and connected with them. And I think the last thing that I would say in order to find clients internationally would be, like Majan said, posting your work out there, but making sure you don't shy away from sharing it in your personal account so that your friends, like our client in Amsterdam came because one of my sorority sisters, she knew that we happened to have a studio, and she was like, I have this friend, I think they do websites, why don't you reach out to them? And they came to us. The other one was through Guillermo's Instagram. So you know, we have various avenues of and touch points where people can come find us and find our personality. And like Majan said, we're always putting our personality out there, which attracts people. And we have a really good contact form that filters people out. So I would say that that's a key ingredient.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have 4 more questions. So next one is advice on couples moving in together for the first time.
Yeah, this was an older question that someone had answered and I had forgotten to answer, so I added it here.
Okay.
But I think this one, the best advice I would say would be watch your ego, be kind, and if you can, go to therapy. But I would say a lot of the things that you're going to be fighting about actually have a lot more to do with your childhood trauma than it does about your partner. And that's why I suggest therapy 100%.
That's true. I think those are great answers. For me, another thing is to be able to have your own space in a way, be able to have your own hobby and not just want to do everything with that partner because you're living with them. So finding your own routine is important. Another thing for living together is being, as you said, being compassionate. And with being compassionate, it's also being communicative in terms of what your expectations are and being clear with what you're asking and what you need from your partner. And don't just expect, because you're living together, that other person knows everything about you already, so you don't need to tell them everything.
Or that you understand everything that the other person is saying.
Exactly. So always don't be scared to ask questions and be clear with what you need. And when there is like a conflict, try to be very communicative about what the thing makes you feel versus attacking the other person's like character or resorting to blame. Just trying to be more like third person about, hey, this thing that happened makes me feel this way, and next time I would like for it to be done like this so that it doesn't trigger me in this way or something like that. But just not making it about, why did you do that? Why did you do this? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, going there, I think makes things a little bit complicated. It makes the space unsafe for either parties to come to some kind of resolution. Yeah, I think. And also something that we've worked on a lot has been the also victimhood of why was this done to me? Yeah, because absolutely. It's fair to say, don't say, why did you do this? But also it's also fair to say, don't play the role where it's like, why is this being done to me? Yes. And that's 100%. Something that we struggle with a lot. Yes, absolutely. Because we have very different conflict styles. Totally. And I think because we have very different conflict styles, sometimes it's difficult to communicate, or sometimes you get really annoyed at your partner. Yeah. And I think, like you said, like having space, it's like also being able to ask for that space and being like, you know what, right now I'm like not vibing, like, can we sleep in separate beds? Yeah. Or can I sleep in the living room and you sleep in the bedroom, when we didn't have more than one room? And knowing that it's not the end of the world and we're not getting divorced and nothing's happening, like we still love each other and we're still like committed to each other and a monogamous relationship. So absolutely. But understanding that sometimes you just need to have a space and to be aware of being able to ask for that. Totally. Because you can get in your nerves, and you know, women, we have hormones and everything, and like things can get really difficult sometimes. So I think it's important
when you start moving in together, to understand that you're two complete separate entities living under one roof. You're not suddenly like one entity that lives under one room, one roof.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think finding that individuality, like you said, and respecting it. But therapy, 100%. 100%. Please, like,
highly recommended.
Gosh, yeah.
Okay, next one. Highlights.
I think I go.
Yeah, you ask. Sorry.
Highlights of these past 3 years.
Ooh, this one's...
Let's do 3 highlights.
Yeah, like you can say one, I can say one, and then...
No, maybe you can say all 3 and I can say 3.
Okay, individuality here.
Yeah. We here.
Highlights, I think I can work backwards. I think launching this website for our client Moonlab Productions in Santa Monica is a big highlight for us, because
we have clients all around the world.
We have clients all around the world, yeah. They're based in Santa Monica, and they're an event production company, agency, and we've been working on their website for the past, I would say, 5-6 months, and we're finally launched.
7. It's July. We started in January.
7 months, yeah. And so that's a highlight, because it was so much work and so much effort put into it from your end, from our end, and from the client's end. It was a good collaboration, and we launched, and it's great. Go check it out, moonlabproductions.com. Another
desktop is premium service. Mobile too.
Another highlight is us being in this physical space. I think I've always dreamt of having just a room or a home office, and I think now that we have that, it feels so nice. It feels like our efforts are kind of paying off, and we get to have an actual studio where we get to be creative, and I think that makes me really happy. And then third highlight is, I just think it's more, this is a little bit more deeper. It's more about our individual growth as creatives. I think that's a highlight for us, because looking back, for me, that's a huge highlight, because looking back 3 years ago, I wasn't as confident, and I was always nervous presenting work, and I, have stage fright and stuff like that. Now I'm so much more confident in my capabilities and my skill sets, and you've helped me with that, and us working together and having our own studio for 3 years now have instilled that in me and kind of developed that, and so that is a huge highlight for me.
Great. So all of the times that we did TakeThree vitamins paid off.
Yeah.
And we ended up crying. I agree. Okay, my 3 highlights, I think number 1 would be making it out alive. I know that sounds very broad, but I think that through these 3 years, like, the shit has gotten really dark at some points, to the point where you're like, how did I sacrifice, or did I sacrifice my relationship for a business? And did I sacrifice my partnership, my friendship, like 11 years of this thing for 3 years of this thing, That's one highlight. So, being here and being more compassionate and loving and like,
great job.
respectful and tolerant and open. Number 2, I would say fucking learning to code cooler Squarespace websites. But my rate's going up, so good. But yeah, just learning to code those websites was like freaking like seeing Moonlab and like thinking, how am I going to do this? Like like I know it's bad, like, but just like pitching something that it's like it's goals, and just like figuring it out and grinding it through, and like blood, sweat, and tears, because I think there was just something new about this. Like Tracing Thought, I think was tracingthought.com was like kind of one level, and then Moonlab was just like this whole other level, and like just having those 2 websites and seeing like, I don't know, just all of that, I think it's amazing. And I think number 3 would be of highlights of these 3 years with TakeThree, I think would be just seeing how we've aged. Like, you know, like how
Aged cheese.
it's not how we've like gotten wiser with age, and
Yeah.
like seeing how, like you said, like we've learned each other like skills from each other, and like you're still as annoying at correcting my English, and you know, just like seeing also like, I don't know, just I think just seeing how much we've changed and also how little we've changed and how much you pick your nose, you know. Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question,
and just one more highlight, being able to work with our friends and being able to work with like people we love and people we find cool, like getting to work with David on the First Moonlight production website, getting to work with Estefania from Instinto, who we haven't even met in person, but we did a kick-ass project with La Llama, art directing that, developing my brand strategy muscle. That's and getting closer to my goal of being like a brand strategist, like consultant for brands. And
oh my god, like you're reminding me of other highlights too. Like designs that we've done are in so many different stores in Quito and in different cities, from Cafe La Llama to another project that we did for an Ecuadorian client called Faccha. They sell like cheese and milk and yogurt and all that stuff. We did the branding and design and for the packaging, and it's out there in the world, and we were able to do that. So that's definitely a highlight. And also something that I can't not mention is the fact that we were able to have a mentorship program and called TakeThree Uni, where we were able to meet so many different small business owners, so many entrepreneurs. We are able. We're still doing it. We have them in our community that we were able to just talk to each other, lean on each other, ask for advice. We provide one-on-one, mentorship and consulting with them on a month-to-month basis. And that was just an idea that we had, and we blew it out and just like made something out of it. And we did our best, and we put our best foot forward, and all of it came from the need and the want to always just help other small business owners and share the knowledge that we have, because we were privileged enough to have experiences in New York and graduated from one of the best art schools. So we were able to have all those like skill sets and share that and with small business owners here in Ecuador, and that was really awesome.
And all over the world.
Not
just Ecuadorian.
So yeah, that's another highlight.
It's just a dream.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. There's more huge news coming for TakeThree Uni.
Perfect. So I think this question sounds like it's the same because it's
no, they're different.
What is so
if you were to pick a mind-blowing moment
of
these 3 years, which one and why?
Mind-blowing.
Yeah. I can start.
Yeah.
My first mind-blowing moment, and I think the biggest of these 3 years that I want to like just shout out to the roof, is being able to bring a container from New York to Ecuador and like actually making it. Like just the fact that like we're here after all of that, like the fact that like things like our books, our sketchbooks from college, and we have our paintings from freshman year in our wall because we like put things in boxes and like literally killed ourselves, and now suddenly we have like an office with like our books from 2011. Like it's insane. So I think that would be my most mind-blowing, like I can't believe I did that moment. Because going to that like Marina was just like the Navy Yard was insane.
Yeah, that was very nerve-wracking. I think for me the most mind-blowing thing is
crashing the car into a planter. Just kidding.
You're like giving me up.
He's a great pilot, Parker.
I'm a good driver now. It took me a while to learn. Oh, that's something I learned to do.
Mind-blowing. Maybe that's a good mind-blowing moment.
How to drive in Ecuador.
Going to Aneta and studying for the quiz to get the licencia.
I think a big mind-blowing moment for me is just being, as you said, I think just being here and
learning Spanish.
Being here and thriving. I think thriving in this like new country for me is very mind-blowing to me, because I didn't know any Spanish coming here, and now I know a lot more. So estoy más cómodo.
Ya sabes que es una hoja.
Sí. And I'm just so much more comfortable being here, and it took a while, but I think that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, last one. What inspired you the most from each other?
Okay, I'll start. I think what inspires me most about Steffi is...
What's her name?
Steffi. Go June. What inspires me the most about Steffi, I believe, is just her fearlessness and her ability to just do something without fear, like grabbing the bull by its horn and just going for it, whether that's as small as finding someone's work on Behance and then like sending them a DM telling them their work is awesome, to having an idea of starting a new business and just going for it. I think that is very inspirational, and that motivates me to like not overthink things and not be so scared about starting something and committing to something and just going for it and learning along the way. I think that's what inspires me the most about working with you and just about you.
Wow, that's so nice. If you only understood how much overthinking went into everything.
I'm sure, but you pushed through.
Yeah, but no, that's really nice. It's like what it's like talk to yourself the way that people talk to you, or like, how Adrian talks about me. Just recognizing that and accepting that and saying thank you for the love.
Yeah.
And then I think the thing that inspires me the most about you, this is the thing that has inspired me always, is your work ethic. It's crazy for you that you said that you had stage fright, or you have stage fright. Again, I've mentioned this 100 times. Like you have been a valedictorian even of like your kindergarten, I feel like, so like just how hard you've always worked, and how hard you always work, even when you don't have the energy to work or whatever, like you always find that. And I think sometimes that is like the thing that annoys me the most too, like how much you work sometimes and how there's no turning it off sometimes, but you've learned that. But I think what inspires me the most is that thing that I like find almost sometimes a little bit of like, not necessarily envy or jealousy, but I'm just like, oh, like I wish I could do that again. Like I see you and I'm like, wow, you haven't, like the way that you kind of work and you push through and you just like focus sometimes, it's so admirational.
Thank you.
I think you're an amazing, hardworking human.
Thank you.
I think
you are as well.
I think your kind-heartedness also really inspires me.
Thank you.
Being a kind person.
Thank you. I try.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you for everybody that tuned in to this live Q&A. I would love to do this more often. If you guys like this, give it a thumbs up. Just kidding.
Thumbs up.
Subscribe to
our YouTube channel. There's no YouTube channel.
I watch too much YouTube. Go give us a review, like Jason Tarty say. Give me a 5-star review. Give me 5 stars. Tell me in the reviews. Tell me what you like the most about this podcast.
I love what David.
Leave your Instagram.
No, what David Chang says. He's like, so please go onto your Apple iPod and give us
iPod podcast.
And give us a review on your iPod. So
you can give reviews on a Spotify now too. But go support us. Thank you for supporting us always, and thank you for sharing with your friends and telling them that we're cool. Because I think we are cool. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to Take 3 Turns 3. Maybe we should throw a
3
party.
Bye, you guys. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, friends.